everybody, and welcome back to Art a la Carte. And I know what you're thinking. Why am I in a chalk drawing? Where's the full color? And for that, I just gotta say, I ran out of time. So you get Chalk Me, which actually works better because this is a chalkboard background. So yeah. In today's episode of Drawing 101 Art for a Job, I'm going to be talking about the tools of the trade. And instead of talking about every single tool that is out there, which one I probably wouldn't be able to think of even half of them out there. And if I don't use a tool, I really don't know a lot about them. I'm going to focus on the tools that I specifically use and then talk to you guys about how do you know when to make that big purchase and buy the expensive tools. So let's jump right into this. I'm going to go really quickly through the tools that I use. If there's something in here that you would like more information about, you can let me know in the comment section below. I'll try to give you the answers there or make another video where I really dive into the tools I like to use and brands and all that stuff. So for drawing and sketching, I like to use a variety of different color pencils and graphite pencils. Really depends on what mood I'm in, whether I choose to draw with a color pencil or graphite pencil. For inking things in, I love to use either my Copic multiliners, which come in a wide variety of colors, or my Sakura microns. I do have a collection of other miscellaneous ink pens and a couple of different gel pens as well, but most of the time I stick to my Copic or Sakura brands. I love to use my Prismacolor color pencils, but I'm also gathering my collection of Faber-Castells and Inktense color pencils as well. But by far, my newest favorite art supply in the last couple of years has been the Copic Markers. Now, I personally collect the sketch marker because I like the brush nib, and with collecting Copic Markers, you need to collect the Copic refill inks. Speaking of inks, there are quite a few different inks that I like. I use a wide variety of Indian ink as well as metallic inks. My paint of choice has always been watercolor. In fact, it was one of the very first art mediums that I really got into. I don't have a specific brand of watercolor that I like. In fact, my watercolor collection is a mismatch of this brand and that brand, but most of the time I really like the Winsor Newton. I also do a lot of digital art, which I'm not going to get into a ton of detail in this video. So if you'd like more information about what digital software programs I use and all of that, I highly recommend that you check out my Drawing Digitally 101 playlist series. It goes into all the details on that. And of course, you can ask me in the comment section below and I'll try to answer whatever questions I can. But one question I get a lot is whether to buy cheap art supplies or dish out the money for some expensive art supplies. And I tell you, art supplies can get really expensive. So let's do a little test. Let's take ink pens for an example and see what the difference is between quality and price. So the first bunch of ink pens I have are some that you can find at any local little dollar store. They're super cheap, they make a mark on the page, and you can technically do art with them. If you're wanting to create something that you're either selling or giving away as a gift, you might want to consider bumping up the quality of your supplies a little bit. Again, my preference for ink pens is the Sakura microns and the Copic multiliners. But let's really put these products to a test to see what they look like. So here on this paper, I'm going to make some test strips using each of these different types of pen. I'm going to do a squiggly line, some hash marks, and then a black swatch to see how well the ink fills it in. Does it smear? How does it react? Things like that. I'm also looking for clumping, glumping, or smooth texture. The first pen I have is just your basic run-of-the-mill Bic pen. You can get a big pack of these for $1. The next pen is one that I used for quite a while, which was the Bic gel pen. I really liked it because it has a dark, bold color. But as you can see, smudges horribly. I do not use that one anymore. A pen that I get questions about all the time is one I use in my earlier videos when I did a lot of doodles. This is a liquid stylus. I don't even know if they make this pen anymore, but it has a super awesome bold line. It does take a little while for it to dry, so yeah, it has a high smudge factor. And yes, I know I spelled stylus wrong, so you don't have to tell me in the comments. So moving on, we have the microns and the Copic multiliners, which are very similar. In fact, if you look really closely at these pens, they're really, really, really close. So how do you know which one you want to purchase? Really, it's artist preference. What feels good in your hand when you're creating, which works best for you. You might have to purchase one of each of these pens, try them out to really find the brand that you like. I have several different brands of pens that I've used that I do not use that brand. I just bought one and I don't like it. It didn't work for me. And I had to kind of go through this trial and error before I finally got to the pen that worked best for me. But another thing you take into consideration is, what are you using these pens with? So if I wanted to ink out a drawing that I want to watercolor, definitely want to take some things into consideration. How water is going to react with ink. Some pens, the ink will stand firm, while others, the ink goes everywhere, which would not make for a good watercoloring ink pen. All right, so now let's assume you've done the research, you know what you want, but the product you want is really expensive. How do you know that you're ready to do the upgrade? For this, let's take digital art. When I first began to do digital art, I bought a really cheap graphics tablet. This was, I think, about $50. It was the kind you draw on the tablet and you look at your computer screen to watch. And it worked great for me until I watched another artist use an actual monitor tablet. And that's the tablets that actually have the monitor in it. You can see the screen and you're drawing on the screen. And it's amazing. These are what the really fancy schmancy animators at different companies are using. And when I saw it, my tablet then didn't look so cool anymore. And I really, really wanted a monitor graphics tablet. But those things are so expensive. And I really didn't have that kind of money to invest in some sort of equipment that I wasn't ready to fully use. And by all means, if you have it in your budget to buy really nice art supplies or art equipment, I'm not saying don't. This is if you are on a strict budget, your finances are limited, and you have to make really wise choices in purchasing. How do you know when you're ready? Well, think of it this way. When you first get your driver's license and you get to drive a car, for most of us, we don't get a really fancy car. We get a used car, a fixer-upper, a hand-me-down car. This is the car that we learn to drive with, that we, back into fire hydrants, we go over speed bumps too fast, that we forget to change the oil. We make the mistakes on the really old car. Once I became a more confident driver, then I got a little bit nicer of a car. The same thing applies with art supplies. You might start off with a student grade watercolor. This is the watercolor that's cheaper. It's the one that you make your mistakes with. You'll learn the technique with. You're not trying to create this really super awesome piece that you're going to sell for $1,000. You're just making something that you can hang on the refrigerator while you build your skill and gain your confidence. This is when you want to begin to think of quality over quantity. It's the time where you now begin to invest financially into your art supplies. You spend money so you can make money. Going back to the car analogy, maybe you want to make that your business. You become an Uber driver. So you don't want your car to be junky. You want a nice quality car for people to ride in. So you make that investment to make a nice car so that you can get a nice clientele base. Same thing with your art. If you're using student grade watercolors and you sell a painting that looks beautiful, but because it's student grade, after a few months, the paint begins to fade, the quality of your work begins to deteriorate. It's going to affect you as a professional artist. So what helped me to decide when I was ready to upgrade from my small little tablet to a monitor tablet was when I was actually seeing I was making money from the art I was producing with the tablet I had. What I would do is save up that money. Maybe I would do a digital commission here or there. When I would get the money, I wouldn't spend it. I would put it away, save it up, until I had enough money to then go out and purchase a digital monitor. And believe me, it took a long time to save it up, but it was well worth it. So whether you are a digital artist or watercolorist, oil painter, sculptor, whatever it is, do your research, find out about the tools that are available in the field of art that you want to be in, and make a plan. What set of tools are you going to use as your practice tools? And what goals do you have to achieve so that you can begin to upgrade your tools to a better quality? Well, hopefully this video answered some of the questions you guys have on tools and when to upgrade and how to upgrade and all of that. If you do have any other questions, I'm going to be in the comment section below answering as many as I possibly can. And if you guys see questions that other people ask and you know the answer, feel free to chime in your answer or opinion as well. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. If you're brand new to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future videos. And as always, God bless you guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!